Hey, it's Keegan. So I decided that I wanted to make a video about my coming out. I came out twice. Once in high school when I was a freshman, so I think I was about 16, and I came out as lesbian to my parents. That coming out experience was, at the time, I thought that I was going to be disowned if I came out, because I had an aunt who came out just before I did as lesbian, and my dad didn't seem to take it well, so I thought that that meant if I told him that I was lesbian that I wouldn't be able to live there anymore, and I was just terrified. So it took me a while to come out, and then finally my dad just asked me one day if I was so depressed because I was gay, and I told him that I was, and that's when we had a long discussion about it. Came inside, told my mom, she cried, but overall, they said that they still loved me and they accepted me, and it was not really talked about within my family. We never really talked about when I had girlfriends, or it just really wasn't brought up. And I did come out to my aunt and her partner because they were lesbians, so it wasn't really a big deal. But I never really came out to my mom's side of the family. I think they just kind of knew. And there were only a few girlfriends, like, within the past few years that, I guess because it was, like, more serious, that I told my parents about them. And we still didn't really talk about it. But, like, they were allowed over and whatnot, and on occasion I would talk to my mom or sometimes my dad about what was going on with my girlfriend at the time and myself. So that's, I think, kind of what you need to know about me coming out as lesbian. I was out actually in high school, and even at, like, community college. Like, I've always been pretty open about it. The only time I'm not all that open about it is when a stranger comes up to me and is like, "Hey, are you gay?" And I'm like, "It's really none of your business. Like, you're not going home with me tonight, so it doesn't matter." And then coming out as transgendered was different. Once again, it was very nerve-wracking, and I was very anxious to come out to everyone. I started off with my friends, mainly the ones that I spoke to every day, like my best friends, and just the ones that I saw frequently. I came out to them, and they all kind of had the same reaction. They were just like, "Oh, well, I still love you," and in all honesty, I've always seen you as a guy, or, I've always just kind of seen you as genderless, so it's not really a big shock. And they've all been really good at calling me by my preferred name and using male pronouns. So they've been fantastic, and I haven't had a problem coming out to any friends so far. So I've been really lucky with that. And then I guess, like, I came out to, or started my coming out in October of 2011. And by mid-November of 2011, I felt like I couldn't keep it from my parents anymore. I just had to tell them. There was a lot going on in my life at the time, and I just kind of had, I guess, like, a bit of a breakdown. So I skipped class and just, I wanted to tell them that night, but I was also just really upset, and I didn't think that that would be a good time. And wasn't sure whether I should tell them at the same time or if I should sit like my mom, dad, and brothers down and just tell them all at once, or if I should do it individually. So I kind of chickened out the first night and didn't tell them. And what I ended up doing was writing a letter, because it was really hard for me to get my thoughts in order and make sure that it all made sense and made sure that I said what I wanted to say. So I typed up a letter. I actually had my dad print it out, and I don't know if he looked over it or what, but he printed it out for me. And I went to go give it to my mom, but she was already asleep, so I just went back downstairs and was like, "Hey, Dad, do you have a minute?" And he set his computer aside, and I was like, "I really want you to read this." And it was about like a 2-page letter, single spaced, and it took him probably about 5 minutes to read. And he sat there, and I just sat there kind of watching him, and after he read it, we talked. He said, "First of all, I still love you, and, I'm always going to accept you and support you." He said that it was difficult because he felt like I was making him say goodbye to his daughter. And while I understand that, I tried to explain to him, "You've never really had a daughter. Like, I've never been a daughter. Like, since I was 3 or 4, I was playing baseball, running around shirtless. I loved Power Rangers and cars, and I just never really had interest in girl type things, and I never had interest in being a girl." So we talked for a while, but overall it was positive. He wasn't using, he actually didn't like the name that I had chosen. He just wasn't a big fan of Keagan. He wanted to know why I couldn't do like Chris, because it's closer to my birth name, and I tried to explain to him that I just didn't feel like that fit me, and we didn't argue over it, but we just didn't really agree, and I was hoping that he'd come around. So we just kind of left it at that. And then the next day, I gave the letter to my mom, but she had things to do, so we weren't able to sit down and discuss it together. So I just said, "Hey, read this later today, call me, I've got class at, such and such time, so call me afterwards." And she did, and we talked about it, and she basically said the same thing. The difference with my mom is that I guess I kind of gave her a heads up, because before I came out to her, I was in a queer sociology class, and we were doing a project on, my group was doing a project on transitioning for male to female and female to male, transgender identified people. And I had brought the topic up to her to kind of test the waters to see how she would feel. And I guess that kind of clued her in that something was up. So she said the same thing, that no matter what, she's gonna love me. That it's difficult for her to understand because, she's never felt that way. And I do understand that. I tried with both my parents to be like, "Hey, I have like links if you want to read more information," and neither of them really seemed to be interested in that. I'm not sure why. I'd like to think that maybe they kind of did some research, or maybe they really don't need to. And it's now almost the end of February, and neither of them have they've not called me Keagan, and they haven't used male pronouns, but probably about a month ago, I did go back to see them and talk to them, because over Christmas break, I came out to my brothers, and they're 16, they're twins. And when I came out to them, I decided to tell them at the same time, and it's incredible how understanding they are. I guess sometimes I just don't give them as much credit. because I told them, I was like, hey, do you know what transgender is? And they were like, kind of. And told them that that's how I felt and that I had always felt that way. And I asked if they were okay with it. And Patrick was like, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, it's totally fine. And then I asked them if they thought it would be difficult to call me by a different name and, you know, to call me their brother and not their sister. And Jonathan was just like, it's just a word. And it felt really great to have them understand that it shouldn't be such a big deal to have someone change your pronoun. But I do understand that it is difficult for people, but I just don't see it as such a big deal. But anyway, over Christmas break, my parents had done, they'd used a lot of female pronouns, and they had been like, hey, go get your sister, where is she, what's she doing, and using my birth name, and it was just really upsetting. So I went and had a talk with them about it and told them that I would like to legally change my name soon, but in order to do so, I do want to have a name that they will call me by. I don't want to legally change my name and then have my parents call me, like, not call me by part of my legal name. So I tried to include them in on it and asked if they wanted to help me pick out a middle name. And they basically just said that they didn't want to, that no matter what I pick, it's going to be difficult because for 22 years they've called me something else. Which kind of hurt because I did want some help. I wanted to include them. I didn't want them to think that I was just like, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is how it's going to be, and this is the name you're going to call me. I wanted them to know that I do care about their opinions, and I just thought it'd be a good way to include them. And my dad said that, it doesn't matter what I pick because it's not going to be my birth name, which I didn't really know how to take. It all just kind of hurt a little bit, but at the same time, I guess I'm lucky because they'll support me, and I hope they'll call me by whatever I choose for my name to be. So now, the only thing that's really left is to come out to my extended family, which I'm pretty nervous about because they're religious. They're all, my mom's side of the family is Catholic, and my dad's side's Christian. The only one I'm really worried telling on my dad's side is his mom, which she already kind of was like, hey, who's this Keagan? What's with the name change on Skype? And I was like, let's talk about that later. So I plan on doing that within the next couple weeks because I should be starting T soon, and it's going to be really weird if I wait like 4 months and then give them a phone call and my voice is like a lot deeper. So that's something that I'm gonna have to do soon, and I might not make a video about it, but it'll probably be up on my blog so you can read about it there. But that's all I can think to say about my coming out right now. So if you have any questions, like if I missed something and there's something you'd like to know about, just feel free to ask. So yeah, hopefully the next video will be about me starting T. So I'll see you guys later.